Doki Doki Beach Volleyball is a two-player bikini sports spin-off of the Tanto Cuore series, in which players take turns playing a card with attack value at least meeting their opponent's attack value -1. When your opponent can't meet that requirement, you win the set. First to win 3 sets wins the game. The 4 character decks should start separated so players can decide which teams to play. The rulebook recommends Fee and Laura versus Valencia and Ordoriana for your first game for an even matchup. Feel free to have a look to accustom yourself with the cards before you choose. Lay your team's 2 character cards face up in front of you. Thoroughly shuffle their decks together to form one face down deck. Draw 5 cards from your deck to your hidden hand. Before the first set starts, you may discard any or all of your cards and then draw back up to 5. The player who lost the previous set will start the new set, but for the first set, the player who owns the smallest bikini goes first. Or choose randomly, as the rulebook says. A turn consists of 3 phases. The first is the draw back up to 5 or recover a character phase. The second is optionally perform an action, just one action. And the third is the attack phase. There will be 3 types of cards in your deck. Most cards are attack cards and are played below your character, giving you an attack value for your opponents to contend with. Normally you only play 1 of these cards per turn, but read the text on the card for ways to play more than 1. Spike cards are played in the same way, but the character associated with it must be upright or it cannot be played. When the spike card is played, that character is turned sideways. This is called being exhausted and prevents that character from spiking or performing an action until it has been recovered. Each character has 2 spike cards. Action cards have 2 possible functions. They may be played as a regular attack card, ignoring the text and using the attack value in the corner. Or, more usefully, they may be played during the action phase of your turn, provided that character is not exhausted. When used to perform an action, the card goes straight into the discard pile. It exhausts the associated character, and you perform the text on the card. Each character has 3 with unique abilities. Your character cards also have an action written on them which can be performed during the action phase of your turn, again provided that your character isn't exhausted, and again making that character exhausted when you perform the action, remembering that only 1 action may be performed per turn. Just note that spike cards say right on them to exhaust that character when played, whereas the action cards do not remind you, probably to allow alternate play suggestions found near the back of the rulebook. Now let's go through the 3 phases of a turn. Phase 1, draw or recover. Always start your turn by drawing back up to a hand total of 5 cards. You may forfeit drawing cards to recover just 1 of your exhausted characters. If you ever have to draw from an empty deck, shuffle your discard pile to form a new deck. If that is empty too, you're shafted and will have to make do with the cards in your hand. Phase 2, optionally perform 1 action. If the associated character isn't exhausted, exhausting that character by turning it sideways. It could be from an action card, played directly to your discard pile and following the text, or it can be from the character card, which, spoiler, are all identical actions that let you draw one additional card. Phase 3, attack. Play a card in front of you that meets or exceeds your opponent's attack value -1. You may only play one card unless a performed action or text on the card say otherwise. Text that changes the attack value of a card occurs immediately after the affected card is played. Remember that an action card may be played completely ignoring the text on the action card and not affecting the associated character in any way, so you don't have to exhaust it if it's an action card played in front of you as an attack card. If the opponent's attack value has been met, that's the end of your turn and play moves to your opponent. However, if try as you might, you cannot meet your opponent's attack value -1, you have lost the set. The winner finds their highest played card, that set, and sets it aside. Both players then move their played cards into the discard, recover both characters, optionally discard any or all cards from their hand, and then draw back up to 5. Whoever lost the previous set starts the new one. If this is the third set win, they've won the game. The loser becomes their bikini-clad maid for a week, or makes the next cup of tea or something. If they don't demand a rematch with the same teams, separate the decks back into their 4 characters ready for the next game. And that's it, go ahead and play. Or stick around for extra guidance on the cards and how they play and combine, an alternative way I like to play, and my final thoughts. So you're still here or you're back. Hopefully you haven't had any problems playing, but there is one rule that's only alluded to in the rulebook's FAQ, addressing specific examples. I already dropped it into the quick teach. Text that changes the attack value of a card occurs immediately after the affected card is played. But we'll go through the cards with text and highlight how they may or may not combine. So most cards marked with a 2 will be a direct attack card, and we'll say if your opponent's attack value is 10 or higher, this card's attack value becomes 10. So our opponent has an attack of 10. This becomes 10, which is 9 or higher. So you've met the conditions for sending the ball back that way. The cards with a 3 in the corner tend to be the time lag attack. And they say during this attack phase you may play 2 cards with attack value of 3 or less. So you could play 3, usually another 3, but you could play an action as its attack value, so that would be a total of 4. You could also play the 2, direct attack was it? So it's currently a 3, it says you can play 2 cards that are 3 or less. This is 2, so it's 3 or less when you play it. Then it automatically becomes a 10 because of its own ability, where the opponent has an attack value of 10 or higher, so this one becomes 10. So you're giving a total of 13. There's one more basic attack that all characters have, an attack card, and that's the, let's see, synchronized attack. This turn you can play as many cards with an attack value of 4 as you wish. There is one action card that has a 4 on it, but generally you're going to be pairing this up with another 4 that's exactly the same card, and you can play as many as you want. You may have 3 or 4 in your deck depending on your choice of characters, teams. So you could have up to 12, maybe even 16. But in this case, with these specific cards, if a action card was to change the first card that you put down, so that you put this down, it's worth 4, but it's going to change that to 7, or maybe it would be a +2, so this becomes 6. The text still applies in this case because it says on there as many as you can of 4, so you can do as many as you like. Whereas if you play an action that changes the first card and you lay down a 3 as your first card, and this becomes 7, or +2 becomes 5, depending on the action that you've played, you cannot play another card now of 3 or less of any kind, because it says right there you may play 2 of 3 or less. So placing this one down and changing it means that you can no longer get the 2 that are 3 or less, because this one isn't 3 or less now, so it cancels out. Each character's actions are fairly self-explanatory. So Laura has discard as many cards from your hand as you wish, then draw until you have a hand of 5 again. So that's for use for swapping out your hand quickly. Treat the opponent as having an attack value of 6, so that reduces your opponent's attack value that you have to meet. Discard as many cards as you wish from your hand. For each card you discard, reduce the opponent's attack value by 3. Then you draw 1 card. So that lets you reduce your opponent's attack value with as many cards as you like, which is pretty cool. Look at fees. So that was Laura's. Fees, treat the attack value of all cards played during this turn, so attack phase, as being equal to the opponent's attack value -1. So you play 1 card, or you play, I don't know why you play multiple cards, but everything you put down all gets voided, and your attack value is just now basically exactly what you need to meet to win that, to knock the ball back. -5 to opponent's attack value, reduces attack value, make it easier to send the ball back. If the other character on your team is exhausted, make them unexhausted after the action. Fee becomes unexhausted, so that's like you would use it where she's exhausted, but for some reason, maybe in the beginning phase, you unexhausted or recovered Fee, and then in its action phase you use this card to recover Laura, or whoever your teammate is, which does exhaust Fee, but then she's recovered, and now you've got both characters recovered. And let's have a look at, who's this, Doriana? This turn, the first attack card you play effectively has an attack value of 7, so that's one of those ones that could make null and void the card where you can play 2 3s, so you have to be careful with that one. Increase the attack value of the first attack card you play this turn by +4, so again that would cancel out the card where you can play 2 3s. During the attack phase, you can play 2 cards with attack value of 6 or less. So 6 or less, I believe you can combine that with the 4 cards. So the first card could be anything 6 or less. So the second card could be a 4 that lets you play multiple 4s, and then you could lay down a load more 4s. So you could use that just to get that extra maybe 5 or 6 or whatever else on top of all your other 4s. Let's look at Valencia. Is that right? Yeah. So Valencia, increase the attack value of the first attack card you play this turn by +2. Then you get to draw a card, which is a nice bonus. Again, that would cancel out the card where you can play 2 3s. Draw 2 cards at random from your discard pile, and then put and put them on the bottom of your deck without looking at them. This I find is a really useless card, but if you're about to completely run out of cards in your deck, I guess it could be useful. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a useless card. And this one, treat the opponent as having an attack value of 0. This is a really powerful card. If your opponent has played a 12 spike, or maybe a combination that goes even higher than that, 13, 14 somehow, this is great. This is a good one to have in your back pocket. In the back of the rulebook are alternate ways to play that make it slightly easier or harder. I didn't find them that interesting or useful. One way that I like to play is once you know the makeup of each deck and the actions of each character, so you're a little bit more accustomed with the game, I found it really fun to split the characters' decks, so not shuffling together and actually just keeping them to the side. When you draw from whichever pile you want, which gives you a bit more choice, a bit more decision making to make. When you play cards, you play them on the side of the character so that you can easily get them back into the right discard pile when appropriate. You can stagger these a bit so that you can see the previous cards played to help you strategize which draw pile to draw from. You can play the next to the character so you can see what attack cards are being used. Oh, so action cards. Complete play to the side here. Just remembering that they actually belong in the discard. So if you ever have to shuffle the discard, make sure the actions go into the discard before you do a shuffle. And also I like to, when we win a set and we pick the highest card, I like to put it under the appropriate character. So this isn't the highest card, but that shows that we've won one set, but it's her fee that managed to win that set, and I don't know. It also lets you know that you've lost that card, which will usually be a spike. So it wouldn't usually be a 3. You're not allowed to shuffle your discard back into your deck until both decks are empty. That way you're forced to use up both characters. Otherwise you could just flip from one and ignore the other character. So, and yeah, apart from that, I think everything else plays exactly the same. This is a spin-off of the Tanto Cuore deck building series. It came with the 10th anniversary Kickstarter stretch goals, so it's not particularly common. I don't think you can buy it separately, and obviously it's a lot lighter and simpler than a deck builder. I really like the game. It's a quick back and forth game. Once you know the cards, it goes quite quickly and you can replay. The random element means that you don't feel like it's not a high pressure game. You just go with whatever luck you have. But because of the set system, as you get to the first time and then go to the second set, the luck tends to balance out, which is really nice. The cards are nice. I wish there was more art on them. This sort of game, some people might get this for the art, but there's maybe 3 different character arts. You got the chibi, you got the one action for the character and the character cards. So more art would have been nice. And also, I think the cards only fill half the box, so I think there's definitely room for at least 1 or 2 more characters they could have included in the game. That way you would have had more of a mix-up. As it is, you can only get 3 team combinations, but with just 2 more characters, you could have had 45 combinations. So, that's a slight shame. Other than that, I think the game is a great short game with some cheeky anime art, and I approve. Thanks for watching.